I think it's waiting for me to say okay.
I think it is.
I did.
Daniel had put his
Hi.
glasses back on.
Welcome to our Facebook Live. This is Mary Beth Wall, and I'm one of the directors at the Widows Project. And here we have with us today also Linda Smith, my other co-director, Bruce McLeod, the director of the men's ministry, and his sidekick, Daniel Hazel. So I'm just going to ask each one to say a little word about themselves, and I'll just kick it off. My friends and many of you in public know there that I joined the club that nobody wants to join about 6 years ago in June, when my husband Bob, my husband of 39 years, went to heaven. And I'm so glad that the Widows Project was there for me, not only first of all as a participant, but now to be able to reach other widows literally around the world with the love and comfort of Jesus Christ. Linda, my dear friend and now co-director, mentored me in this new stage of my life. Would you just share a little bit, Linda?
Yes, my husband Kirby died 12 years ago, and I joined the Widows Project right before COVID started. So we went on Zoom immediately and have been reaching out to widows and widowers ever since. It is a common experience around the world, and we are working on resources to help reach out to people who have experienced this so they don't have to do it alone.
That's right.
It is miserable, but we don't have to be miserable alone. And then we find hope, and we find friends, and we get a new start on life, and it's going great.
That's right. Bruce?
You know, Linda, you reminded me of a quote by Max Lucado. One of my favorites is something like, "Pain is inevitable, but misery is optional."
Yep.
And I was widowed some 7+ years ago, and I discovered what misery was all about, and it was wrapped in pain. And as I pursued healing, I discovered that it's best done in community. And finally, I discovered that if I wanted to heal all the way, and I surely did because I was a mess, that I needed to help somebody else heal, all of which brought me to the Widows Project and my desire to reach out to the rest of you widowed guys, because we can help one another.
That's right. Daniel, you've got a little bit different journey to describe. How did you come to join us?
I have a much different journey to describe. I was widowed 30 years ago. I lost my wife between heartbeats in a driving accident, and I didn't know about such things as the Widows Project back then. I stumbled into some counseling through my faith, and it kept my feet on the ground and allowed me to heal through intercession with the Holy Spirit. And so 30 years later, I have a pretty solid background in what grieving is and how grieving can turn into depression. And so I wanted to opt out of the depression and the misery and all of that. So I am here to help other men through the process of grieving without the extra baggage that doesn't need to be carried.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And you know, the blessing in your life is that you were able to meet your beautiful wife, Veronica, and you've been remarried now for how many years?
And 10 years and probably 14 days, something like that.
And
Yeah,
he's
but
still
who's counting, right?
Yeah, I was
yeah.
counting. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we hope to explore a little bit more in the future with the Widows Project, because our our goal is to meet those who are newly widowed and in their distress. But we find that it's not too long before people are starting to think, am I ever going to be married again? And when that happens, as you well know, Daniel, there's an adjustment period. And I was just mentioning to Linda this morning, it's kind of like a blended family, but two of the people are deceased, So it's
Very true. Yes.
yeah, it's not necessarily an easy transition, but and and I believe that God helps us to do that transition together better as well.
So
So
my case in that, since you bring that up, is I spent 20 plus years as a single man raising a daughter after I lost my first wife, and uh, gave me a different perspective on. I
Hmm.
was never looking for a wife at that point. I was quite happy to be um, in the marriage feast as spoken, but um, I have a heart for men who go out and want to find, they're the other side of misery is men that want to go out and find a substitute for so what they've just lost, because you have community when you're married. You have, you have your two people sewn together. You have relationship, and all of a sudden, all of that is gone, and you want it back really badly, and you have to not make any big decisions while you're in the grieving process.
exactly.
That's
That
a
is
There's a
given.
subtle oh, sorry.
No,
There's
so
a subtle difference between a blended family and a family in a blender.
yeah, yeah, not so subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want the latter.
yes.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we've all seen people who did jump into
Mhm.
a relationship way too soon, and it really can cause more problems. Um,
More pain.
more pain, that's right. Because what happens when we lose our spouse, all of a sudden, we've heard it said many times, it feels like you're cut in two. Well, if you're cut in two, then are you half a person? No, you're still a whole person, but you just have to figure out, who am I now?
Mhm.
Because you were completely bonded with someone else for during your marriage. So Linda and I have been working with widowed women for quite some time now, and um, we've discovered that women tend to face this stage of life a little differently than men do. And so, since you
No.
guys are our resident experts on men, I'd like to
Mhm.
find out what's your take on that? How do you think men approach widowhood differently than women?
Well, a lot of it has to do with our basic internal makeup. I think all y'all are more generally in touch with your feelings than we are. And for very good reason, there's some physiological reasons for that. But the sociological reasons are at least as strong. We have heard from the time we could understand language, and maybe even subtly before, you can handle it. Be a man.
Men
And
don't cry.
my personal favorite, big boys don't cry,
Yeah.
which is crazy nuts because big boys need to cry. And yet, whenever I did, I felt less than. I felt less manly because I couldn't suck it up and get on with it. Uh, and so those things are deep within our culture, and it's not just our culture. I spent quite a bit of time working with Latin American widowed guys and found much the same thing there. Um, So we don't share, the net result is we don't reach for help and we don't share transparently like all y'all ladies do.
Right.
What would
So-
you add to that, Daniel?
I think first off, you're scaring a lot of guys by telling them they should cry. So
I don't doubt it.
so I would say you don't have to cry to join the group.
No.
But what we have found is what I have found is that men have bonding experiences over what they've experienced in life, the highs and the lows, and we can laugh together and we can cry together once we get to know each other a little bit and realize that it's a safe place, that we've all been there, and that if you don't go through the grieving process, you're setting yourself up for failures in life later. Because all of that is going to cause other emotional issues that you won't even realize are connected to it.
Yeah,
So,
I've heard it said, you can't get over it, you can't get out
yeah,
from under it, you can't get around it, you gotta go
through
through
it,
it.
Yeah.
point
And
A to point B. And that is the suck it up cream puff mentality, is go from A to B, just do it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And may I say also, now I'm talking from my own perspective, but I have known a few men through the years, and I was married to one for 39. And I understand that the man's world involves competition. You're
Mhm.
competing in sports, you're competing at work, you're competing just man to man, you're arm wrestling, whatever you guys do, but um but and that might be another reason why it's hard to let someone else see your tender side, because you got to know that they're safe, because otherwise your tender side is in danger.
Mhm.
And I think that what's really important with this group is that you guys are very careful to make sure that this is a place for fellowship and brotherhood, and that it is a safe place to be able to share whatever
Yeah.
they want to or don't want to.
Mhm.
So tell us
Yeah.
how you guys get together with other guys.
Referrals mostly. I've had people come up to me at church and say, I hear you work with widowed guys. I know this guy, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll, if it turns out that, yeah, I do, then they'll take me more or less by the hand and introduce me to this very reluctant guy. And and sometimes that whole process happens over the telephone. In fact, the bulk of my connections with widowed guys have been referrals that I have called and built a relationship with before we ever get into a group.
Okay. Tell us about your group.
Well, we meet, we've got a brand new hybrid group, and that means it has options. You can meet with us live in the South Everett area, and that whole thing is connected via the internet. So you could be in Tuscaloosa or St. Louis and join us too. We meet from 5 to 7 Pacific time on Thursdays every week. What else do you want to know?
Well, I'll just say a word that the in-person group there is led by Daniel in person at Sunrise Christian Center, which is on Airport Road in Everett, 11625 Airport Road. And that is the intersection of Highway 99 and where 128th turns into Airport Road if you are local. Again, 5 to 7 on Thursdays. And then if you want to join the Zoom, you can go to our website at thewidowsproject.org, and there will be a tab there for joining a group, and that's where you can request to join virtually. And we do have people joining our groups from all over the country and Canada, and so it's amazing how Zoom has really opened the door for ministry.
Mhm.
So
And we have groups all over the world. So if you're getting this and you're in Mexico or South America or in Europe, there are groups all over the world.
That's
Mhm.
right. So you can let us know where you are and we'll see if we can connect you with somebody. I, unless you guys have something else you want to share, I want to ask each of you, Daniel and Bruce, if when you were first, when you lost your wife, what hesitations might you have had to join a group like this? And how would you have overcome those hesitations to say, okay, I'm in?
Good question.
I can say for me, life was, in the beginning, life was extremely busy and chaotic. My mind, my mental, I was not functioning for a very long time. I managed to go to work and I managed to take care of my daughter, raise her up. And I got my daughter help through counseling services as she needed it. But I did not, for the longest time, go to counseling because it was just hard to do. I had to take care of my daughter. I had to take care of life. So
Mhm.
it was difficult. It was difficult to find time to do that.
Mhm.
Yes,
Had I known what was available, I would, and how effective it was, how
Mhm.
helpful it was, I would have done it much sooner than I did. But
Mhm.
to be honest, I just did not understand what was available and how incredible it could be.
yes,
What incredible help it could be.
yes. There you
And
go.
I, on the other hand, am kind of on the other end of the spectrum. Although I shared Daniel's um, chaotic expression of life. I mean, my favorite word is shattered. My my work life was shattered. My mental capacities were shattered. My emotional life was shattered. My health was shattered. And I was a train wreck. But I was blessed that in the process of doing the memorial service for my wife, Sherry, I had to interface with a church secretary who knew about a grief uh, processing organization. And she said she had good knowledge of it. And she said, you really need this, Bruce. You
Good.
really should give it a try. And
Mhm.
so I quickly discovered in just the first few months that I wasn't handling it well by myself. And having several interfaces with this lady, I finally wrote it down. I finally looked it up and I finally made a phone call and
There.
joined a group. So within a relatively short time,
Mm.
I was experiencing the benefits of being with people who knew about the process and could share with me that what I was experiencing was not unique because one of our enemy's favorite lies is, you're the only one.
Right, right.
You're crazy.
Mhm.
You're nuts. If you
Or you're
tell
just,
anybody else about this, you're gonna get put down, right?
Yeah,
Divide and conquer. It's his favorite strategy. And so when I got connected, I knew I'm not alone. Others have experienced this stuff and it will pass.
very good.
and I have other people to lean on to get through it.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely. So if you are one of those reluctant people that really know deep down inside that you need something like this, I hope this reassures you that these guys have been there.
Hmm.
They understand. They're still very sensitive to the needs of someone early on in the process, even though it's been now years for them. And that's the way I feel. And Linda, I know you feel the same way. Is we want to be there for those who are dazed and just starting to figure out, now where do I go? What do I do? And if you
Mhm.
want to learn a little bit more about the Widows Project, go to thewidowsproject.org. Not only will you see a place to sign up for our groups, but you'll find there what we call comfort videos. And those are videos intended to be there to let you know we understand, we get it, and to give some comfort and counsel in the middle of the night when you can't talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
And we also have books and resources. If you're interested in starting a group for widowed men or women in your church, we have 3 books, one for men or women, one for women and one for men. And then we have just produced another book called Heartwork, which is for healing the trauma associated with losing your loved one. So go to our website, find out all about that. And also, if you're interested in joining a group for women, Linda and I have a group on Thursday nights, 6 to 7:30 Pacific time, for a general group for women who've lost their husbands. And then on Monday morning from 10:30 to 12, we have a group for who we call ministry widows, those widows who have been in ministry, either they themselves or a missionary or pastor, or they were in ministry with their husband. So we find that that's an extra layer of grief that we love to help with. So God bless you. We hope to see you soon, and just know you'll have welcoming arms for you when you do come. Bye. Bye-bye.
We are men that do hugs. God bless.
Okay. I hope that worked. It said it was live, but I didn't see anywhere to turn the thing off. So I'm going to go to my Facebook now. That was sure good, and I didn't think to record it.
We're, you know,
Wait a minute, the content.
Well, got to be sure we're off.
It's being sent to.
The content of this meeting is being sent to Facebook. Yes, so I'm going to